A shocking and messy scene unfolded recently, turning a regular night out into a real-life nightmare for several reality TV stars. This drama wasn't scripted. What happened in that Atlanta nightclub was a full-blown crime scene. If you haven't heard the story yet, let me break it down for you. Mendeecees, Harris, Ems, and Kirk Frost, two men with plenty of drama already surrounding them, got themselves into serious trouble when a fight turned into a full-scale brawl. Things escalated quickly, and what started as a confrontation over cheating scandals and relationship drama quickly turned into a chaotic scene involving flying furniture, angry words, and even the police. And to make things even worse, it seems like this whole ordeal could lead to some serious legal consequences for everyone involved. So, how did we go from watching reality TV messes to seeing people get arrested? Was it all about Yandy, Kendra, or did someone finally get fed up with Kirk's constant foolishness? Eyewitnesses say fists were thrown. Things got violent, and security couldn't stop the madness. So, what's the fallout from this wild brawl? Did Yandy bail Mendeecees out? Is Rashida finally done with Kirk for good? And where was young Jock when all of this went down? Let me take you through this step by step. Mendeecees and Kirk Frost are no strangers to drama. And honestly, they could probably make a whole season of love and hip-hop, just based on their controversies. From cheating accusations to financial scandals, these guys have been in the public eye for years, usually for all the wrong reasons. But what happened that night? Well, it all started at a popular Atlanta nightclub. And, of course, Kirk Frost was at the center of it all. Kirk Frost, who has a history of questionable behavior, was seen acting very comfortable with another woman at the club. This wasn't his wife, Rashida, and you'd think by now Kirk would have learned to be more discreet after all the mess he's caused in the past. But nope, he was in full reckless mode. He was laughing, drinking, and whispering in this woman's ear like he had nothing to lose. Meanwhile, Mendeecees, who was also at the club, had his own issues to deal with. Word is that he'd been arguing with his wife, Yandy, earlier in the day, and the tension was already high. Yandy was still upset about a past situation when Mendeecees made her believe they were married, only for it to later come out that the paperwork was never filed. Yandy had never really forgiven him for that, and now she was still holding on to that resentment. So, here's Mendeecees, already in a bad mood, trying to enjoy his night. But then he spots Kirk, who's acting all too cozy with another woman. Normally, Mendeecees wouldn't have gotten involved, but because he knew how tight Yandy and Rashida were, and because he didn't want to be in trouble with Yandy for not saying anything, he decided to confront Kirk, and that's when all hell broke loose. Mendeecees walked right up to Kirk's table and called him out. No warnings, no build-up, just straight-up confrontation. Kirk tried to laugh it off, making a weak excuse like, "You know how it is, man?" But Mendeecees wasn't having it. He started raising his voice, telling Kirk how much Rashida didn't deserve to be humiliated like this, how Kirk was embarrassing his family again, and how ashamed he should be of his actions. But then Kirk fired back with something Mendeecees definitely wasn't ready for. "Man, worry about your own marriage before you start preaching to me." Now, if you know Mendeecees, you know that was the wrong thing to say. Sure, Mendeecees has his own relationship drama, but hearing that from Kirk was enough to set him off. Before anyone could stop him, Mendeecees lunged at Kirk. Drinks went flying, and suddenly the place was in full chaos. Security tried to break it up, but things were already out of control. Then, in the middle of the madness, guess who else showed up? Young Jock. Now, why young Jock was even there, we may never know, but one thing's for sure. His involvement didn't help. Instead of calming things down, Jock started running his mouth, telling both Mendeecees and Kirk to chill out. But instead of easing tensions, Jock only made things worse. The situation was spiraling. Tables were being flipped, drinks were spilled, and security was struggling to maintain any control over the situation. But the drama didn't stop there. Kendra, Kirk's wife, showed up on the scene, and she was not happy. Not only did she walk into a full-on brawl, but she also saw Kirk with the other woman. That was enough to send her over the edge. Kendra started yelling and pointing fingers, and before security could even try to regain control, she tried to swing on the woman Kirk was with. Yes, you read that right. Kendra went from calm, professional attorney to reality TV drama queen in a split second. At this point, the cops were called. When they showed up, they had no choice but to step in. The scene was pure chaos. Tables were flipped. Drinks were everywhere. And people were screaming. It was like something straight out of a wrestling match. Kirk, Mendeecees, and Kendra were all still in the middle of it, shouting and trying to defend their actions. But the police weren't having it. They quickly assessed the situation, and guess who got arrested first? That's right, Mendeecees and Kirk. Mendeecees, who has a history of legal trouble, was probably dreading the moment the cops walked toward him. This wasn't the first time he had been in trouble with the law, and the last thing he needed was another mugshot. Meanwhile, Kirk, ever the optimist, thought he could talk his way out of this. But when he tried, the police weren't buying it. They already knew he had started the fight, and now they had witnesses confirming it. But just when it seemed like things couldn't get any crazier, Kendra decided to add even more fuel to the fire. She started yelling and trying to attack the woman Kirk had been with, and before you knew it, she found herself in handcuffs too. The cops weren't playing around anymore. They decided she was coming with them as well. While all this was happening, Yandy was watching from the sidelines. But she wasn't about to let Mendeecees go down without making a scene. As soon as she saw them putting handcuffs on him, she ran over, yelling and trying to get the cops to release him. But the police weren't in the mood for her drama either. One officer turned to her and warned her to back up, or she'd be arrested too. Yandy, realizing she wasn't helping the situation, backed off. So now Kirk, Mendeecees, and Kendra were all in police custody, and the internet was having a field day. As soon as the mugshots hit the internet, social media exploded. Memes were flying. People were roasting Kirk for his cheating. Mendeecees was getting dragged for his relationship drama. And Kendra was being laughed at for throwing punches, like she was on a reality show. One tweet said, "Kendra out here fighting side chicks while her husband's in jail, looking like it's a family reunion." Meanwhile, Rashida, who was probably at home minding her business, got the phone call about Kirk's arrest, and sources say she was done. After years of dealing with Kirk's nonsense, she was fed up. Kirk, of course, tried to smooth things over, calling her from jail with the same old excuses. But Rashida didn't want to hear it. She hung up on him without saying another word. And honestly, can you blame her? As for Kendra, her law firm wasn't exactly thrilled about the situation either. They put out a statement saying they didn't condone her unprofessional behavior, and it seemed like her legal career could be in jeopardy. Back in court, things only got worse for the trio. The judge wasn't impressed by the video footage of the fight, and they made their decisions clear. Kirk was fined $10,000, Mendeecees was sentenced to 30 days in jail, and Kendra, well, she was fined $55,000 and put on professional probation. So what's next? Kirk is trying to save his marriage. Mendeecees is counting down the days until his release, and Kendra's future is looking uncertain. As for Rashida, she's reclaiming her peace like a queen, and fans are eating it up. This whole situation went from a messy club fight to a legal disaster. And it's safe to say that love and hip-hop will never be the same again.